Cecil. Rumpled convolutions of coral fill the water, glimmering with silvery light. The harder you look, the more you see shapes amid the chaos, almost as if they were sculpted. This one could be a crenellated castle, that one a horse's head. A neat little port huddles into the side of a coral island, prosaic imperial docks and houses tucked away in a baroque organic chaos. In that curious silvery light among the frozen chaos of coral, the scene has the unreal air of a pencil sketch, crumpled and discarded. Chess. Chess is popular in the principals. The port is full of exiles, drunks, and washed-up Z-traders. They all play, often obsessively. Be careful, the chess pieces are carved from scintillac. You're in the principals, that can be very dangerous. Well, apparently our page's chance gives us a 100% chance of success, so yes. A disciplined success. Odd thoughts bubble up each time you touch a chess piece. This one longs for home. That one has a secret desire for revenge against the slayer of its rank mate. This will be a queen one day. Those would do better as metal. You taste the metal. You ignore these thoughts and move methodically to victory over your opponent. He blinks. Checkmate? He asks helplessly. Win enough games and something else will occur. Well, we already gained 1 pages, so we'll keep doing that as long as we can keep winning. You don't know how long you've been playing. You won a match. Another. The rough coral tips of the chess pieces are smeared with blood. Yours, your opponent's. But you've begun to realize that your moves recapitulate the movements of the powers of the Neath. The flukes and their shapelings, the bazaar that lurks in London, Mount Nomad that prowls the sea, Salt Stone Storm. With every move you take, the shape of it becomes clearer in your mind, sharper. Checkmate, you say. One more game? Your first officer is tugging at your arm. Ignore them. You have chess to play. Alright, now it's down to 55%. We're going to come back when our pages is a bit higher, hopefully. Okay, let's gather intelligence to get a port report. The older inhabitants of Port Cecil carry coral incrustations like a disease, splotched with silvery light. They like to go up into the limestone heights behind the harbor, to lay their heads against the pillars and towers, stare at the roof of the Neath, dream open-eyed. Sometimes they speak of things far away, the Khanate's work, the smuggler wars, the Fathom King's secrets. Perhaps it's not all invented. And gathering scintillac, yeah, we don't have high enough mirrors to safely do that. Our terror would probably just go through the roof. Let's explore the knoll around Port Cecil. Sea laps around the silvery coral. Humps and columns rise from the coral. A bewildering maze. Go carefully. A shadowy predator. It's the little things, the click of a sliding stone where there should be silence, a motion in the shadows as if they were thick-stirred like ink, a lull in the cries of the Z-bats. Something is watching you, drawing closer hour by hour. You and your crew draw back to back, watching the darkness. Let's see. Mirrors and veils. Neither has a high chance of working. We're going to try to retreat back to the ship. An orderly retreat. You sense it in the murk, its course parallel to your own, but by the time it draws near, the lights of the port are already ahead. Your sailors clatter up the gangplank, whispering together in nervous undertones. Gained a little bit of terror, but also gained a tale of terror. And do they have anything at the shops? No, not really. Taciturn claymen, evasive clothes colonies, walking like humans, cobbles that groan underfoot. On the hills above, a palace villa of marble, but even that writhes like buried bones in an earthquake. Okay, we're gonna gather intelligence for a port report. The city cries out. Roads roil, bricks quiver. The windows of all the buildings flash like eyes. The palace above the city swells and roars. The convulsion is how claymen are born. Even now, somewhere below, they open their blind-seeming gray eyes. And ask about the House of Kiel for the unsettled Salvager. The ancient captain in Vinderblight said this would advance her search for Lady Black. When flesh carved stone, the claymen profess ignorant. The benches wail too much to be sensible, but there's an ancient long-winded harbor wall that remembers. The House of the Kiel made exiles of themselves, it says in deep, crotchety tones. They boarded their ships and took to the sea. Then, far from land, they took axes to their ships, sank them, and followed them, man, woman, child, into the depths. In abysses they built their fathomless churches, and resumed their worship of Lady Black, spirit of the deeps. The unsettled salvager holds your arm for support as you walk back to your ship. I need to dive again, she whispers. Grant me a suit. Please, Captain. You do have one in your possession. You could allow it next time you set sail. Yeah, we're taking them. They increase efficiency and we can afford them. We are clay. Yes, we lost a crew member, technically, because we put the We Are Clay in and they reduced the crew quarters by 3, which means we only had room for 7 and we had 8, but we're at an island. I assume that we're just leaving them here, which is probably still not great, but they're alive. Sailors at the rail call softly. Something swims beneath the ship. I saw it looking up at us, one says, his voice a tremble. Yeah. Don't look. Whatever's down there, it's better not to know. They'll forget soon enough. Really? You've already got another ship? Don't look and quit getting in my dang way while I'm trying to do this. Investigate the wreckage again. We know who it is. Rescue and probably get more money. The pirate poet hauls herself up the rope, nodding her gratitude to the crew. Another battle well fought, Captain, she grunts. Few earn a second verse. Along with her freedom price, she presents a gift, a cask of wine saved from the sinking vessel by her own mighty arms. They say it is a fine vintage. My men were saving it to toast our victory against you. Perhaps you would join me in a drink to them. Yeah, it doesn't mention us rescuing your crew, so I think you do keep getting crews sunk going after me. I think at this point we really just need to head for London. We're low on supplies, we are critically low on haul. I am going to not head for the Salt Lions. In part because with what she just handed us, if the game would feel like maybe opening that, thanks. Yeah. 10. Well, I think we could actually but Only because we're running very, very low on fuel and supplies, and I just don't know if we have enough for this detour instead of doing a straight line. I'm gonna go with no because our supplies are so dang low. It's the same as last time, but the important part is we gained some supplies. However, this is new. A bandaged funger. One of the funging workers is watching your crew, and watching the cloddery air especially. What does he want? Whispered confidences. The tomb colonist draws you a little way from the cloddery air. Don't tell her you met me, he says in a hoarse rasp. Her mother cut my voice. Hoped to fix it so I wouldn't be able to look for my daughter. So I wouldn't want to, he wheezes. Didn't work. Operation's never completely effective. Need to know my daughter's well, happy, finding enough patients, getting enough to eat, and so forth. In exchange for the simplest news, he explains himself. I'm her father, he says, ordinary engineer, not the sort of parent she would want. You can tell the heir about this encounter. If you wish to tell the heir about this encounter, you can do so by speaking with her. We'll deal with that later, probably. For now, compile a port report. And let's just go. That last crate of supplies should be enough to get us to London. Oh, revenue men again. Do your worst. We have nothing. A breath of relief. As soon as the gangplank touches the quayside, the terrors of the deep sea lighten. Walk taller, smile more readily, but what dreams may cling? Terror is always reduced to 50 when you return to London. If it's higher, however, if your terror was high, you may suffer nightmares later. Yeah, it's one of the irritating things about it. Especially if it's kind of like we were, where the terror wasn't that much above 50. Messages. Little proposal. Good evening, Captain, and what a marvelous evening it is, if you don't mind my saying so, and given it is my impression you're an obliging sort, I imagine you will not mind at all. And since you are so very obliging, perhaps you wouldn't mind making a little detour via Mount Palmerston with a few articles of cargo, if you happen to be in the area. The cheery man will of course cover your expenses for this trifling inconvenience. Yeah, sure, we can head up there. We already know where it is. We're smuggling souls now. So I'm glad that the revenue men decided to search our ship before we picked that up and not after. We better get that sorted before we return to London again. Visit to Clathermont's tattoo parlor. You're a real sailor now, after all. You could go to one of those tobacco and prey places by the docks, but the prices at Claremont's are reasonable, and his daughters are real artists. But which sign will you choose? The Dauntless Hand. This will permanently increase your iron by 2 and cure up to 25 points of terror. The Wheel of Mists. This will permanently increase your veils by 2 and cure up to 25 points of terror. Mirrors. So on and so forth for each stat, and if we choose to remain unblemished, this will reduce terror to 0 once only. However, our terror is 50, so reducing it by 25 versus reducing it to 0 doesn't really matter. However, some of these do require extra things. Like, for example, we don't have a vision of the surface, so we can't increase our hearts. We don't have a move in the Great Game. Really wishing we'd kept that. Maybe we got that at the Cumaean Canal. So if we wanted to increase our pages by 2, we would need to do that. However, I'm kind of open to increasing veils instead so that we could slip by some of these things a little easier, even though generally speaking pages is the harder one to raise. The gold needle pricks. Lily Clathermont hums. The design is complete. A ship's wheel, but with a curious elaboration to the design, like an optical illusion. We are not the messenger, but the message, Lily intones. You frown. She dimples. Oh, all right, that's just something Mr. C says to sound impressive. I don't know what it means, but I like the design. The Merchant Venturer. An urchin tugs your sleeve. Governor wants a word. A brooding figure waits at the lamplight's edge. I have need of a reliable agent. Failing that, an inventive one. Here are my requirements. He has very specific needs, but he'll pay much better than market rates, and he won't ask how you came by these things. Something forlorn. 7 bales of parabola linen. Or 7 Stygian ivory. Okay, I'll let you know when I have those. The Royal Bethlehem Hotel. A hotel for the insane, where the mad may comfortably reside if and until they return to sense. The unsettled salvager would benefit from a lengthy stay. Yeah, you know, I'd rather that than her diving. The rooms are plush red and gold. She will be safe here. Welcomed with open arms. The manager of the Royal Bethlehem beams as brightly as the many brass buttons studding his jacket. I've heard of you, he tells the salvager, as you fill out the paperwork for her stay. The lady herself? What delicious dreams you must have, my poor heart. You are not the first. I know you will not be the last. The salvager does not reply. Her shoulders slump slightly before she's taken away to her new room. Get the ship repaired before I forget. We'll trade some Admiralty favors for this. Okay, ship is no longer about to fall apart. Nuncio. Ah, yes, the place that lures away postmen. One hears no end of complaints from the postal service. Polythreme. The king with 100 hearts. What a useful fellow. Without his exports, I'd be delivering my own coal. Empire of Hands. Oh, goodness. What are those accursed monkeys up to these days? You didn't bring any of them back with you, did you? Such a ghastly place. You know, there was somebody asking about it only recently. Delightful lady, as I recall. Most delightful. Yes, I shall take the liberty of forwarding her your address. Something new awaits in our lodgings. We got a lot of echoes, some fuel, in favor. The Salt Lions. The bazaar has always taken an interest in that place. So I think regardless of which one we pick here, unless we choose the third option, like this eventually can progress towards having a scion without romancing one of your officers. In fact, I don't know if romancing an officer can get you a scion because presumably someone has to stay home. Honestly, you could go with either one, so gonna go with you. An elegant fellow with a Presbyterian accent and an unexpectedly delighted laugh. By the evening's end, it seems natural he should accompany you home. The next morning, he gives you a golden locket. Don't lose it, he says with a grin, then grows suddenly grave. Truly, don't lose it. Invitation to Benthic College. Your travels have caught someone's attention. Benthic College is pleased to invite you to an exclusive and educational evening with Lady Agatha Treadgold, delightful adventuress and a racontess of thrilling true tales of feist and spunk. On the back is a scribbled note. Come speak to me afterwards, darling. Opportunity beckons. Yeah, we can attend the lecture. Opportunities are always worth exploring, at least. A trip to Benthic. Benthic is the most open-minded of the London colleges. You find yourself waiting for the lecture in a queue of students, devils, and bohemians, observed with some scorn by passers-by in Somerset colours. Her feet have trodden lands most in the Neath have never even heard of. Her eyes have seen every opportunity for fame and glory while there. An evening with the delightful adventuress. Whoever she is, she knows how to pack a hall. Not a seat is empty as she takes the stage. The fine cuisine of the Chelonet, the darling Clayman, all but a prelude, my dears. Her stories tend toward the fanciful and conveniently unprovable, but the delightful adventuress has the credulous audience spellbound for hours. Many of her tales of monsters and lost cities have a common theme. She visited them ahead of a certain Lady Lenora Fortescue, the quite adorable darling archaeologist with whom she sparked a bracing rivalry back at finishing school. The rest are tales, bitter as sourest grapes, of being cheated of triumphs by the very same Fortescue, whose fanciful fictions are fit only for the penny dreadfuls. By the end, her stories are notably more bitter than boastful. She still receives a standing ovation. Business proposition. The delightful adventurous masked clayman Barnabas escorts you to the principal of Benthic's study, where she sits sipping brandy by the fire. Ah, my dear Capitano. Firelight glints in her eyes as she raises her glass. I hear you are recently returned from the empire of, monkeys? Hands. Yes, of course, it is a rare breed that can make such a voyage. Foolhardy, too, perhaps. She sips her brandy. I wish to charter your no doubt fine vessel to that primitive little island chain. There I shall find what I need to show up that infernal Lenora Fortescue once and for all. And you... The delightful adventuress squints, sizing you up. Sufficient compensation will not be a difficulty. A most mutually beneficial arrangement, you will agree. Sure, we can head back that way eventually. The delightful adventuress drains the glass dry. Then we shall see you upon the morrow for the voyage. Barnabas, pack my valise. Adventure awaits. We are going to rest once. Because I think the restful night can be helpful against the nightmares that we're now going to be dealing with. Use recent news to lure them out. Going to luncheon with Lucy again, because the lower we can get our terror, the better. That gets us down to 6. So, nearly perfect. Decided to tell me about the horn function. I didn't even know that was a thing, actually. And we got 5 supplies from one of the weakest enemy ships in the game. Okay, yep, not arguing. We have so much food. We went from no food to all the food. Yep, recurring nightmares. You've begun to dream of a vast eye. It knows you. You cannot evade its gaze. A black, unsleeping taste. Again and again you are alone on the wide black Z. The eye is aware. Your nightmare will come upon you from time to time, inspiring terror. Gain restful nights at your lodgings to help you resist it. If you defeat it, you may gain a secret. That was why we rested at our lodgings. Figured we might need the restful night. Okay, visit a certain little restaurant. Fine cuisine in Winterbite? Now that would be something. A corkscrewed street. At the twisty tip of an odd little side street, welcoming yellow light glows from the gilt-lettered windows of a restaurant. A sign reads, Vengeance of Jonah. A beefy tomb colonist bustles up. A gray mustache pokes impertinently out from under his bandages. Come in, come in. It's a cramped little place, but much better lit than most places in the tomb colonies. The scents of dishes are multitudinous and extraordinary. Are they good? They might be. They might be good. It's difficult to tell. Sample today's special. The food here is exceptional. You need not fear poisoning or boredom. Definitely not boredom. This is usually a more effective way of reducing terror than purchasing a dusty glass of wine, and will also reduce hunger. Offer a strange catch. The Vengeance of Jonah is liberal in its approach to edibility. We don't have one to offer, or we can recruit the bandaged poissonnier. The bandaged... I'm just going to call him a chef, okay? The bandaged chef has long wished to travel, but you'll need to outfit the galley to his exacting standards. I mean, 300 echoes is expensive, but we don't have a cook yet. Sure. Avid enthusiasm. Ah, my captain, the things we will catch, that we will consume, that we will experience. We will discover the seventh sensation, you and I. The taste that one tastes with the heart. You there, sailor. Careful with that brazing Olympic. It's worth more than your wretched soul. And he gives hearts +6 and pages +3. Honestly, I think it would be kind of cool. I don't know that they do, but it would have been kind of cool. You know how the doctor has the special doctor aboard thing? It would be nice if having a cook aboard, like, maybe made your supplies stretch just a little further, like a 10% bonus or something like that. But, regardless, more stats for us. Lord knows we need them. Oh, another bat swarm. Yep, they're up to corpses. You stand on the bridge with the dapper chap's locket in your hand. Keep it. It's a risk for both of you. Shorebound lovers grow lonely, and Z captains die young. Or throw it away. With enough time and effort, you could break his heart or he yours. Yeah, we'll keep it. Not that it can really progress any further until we get better lodgings. At least as far as I remember. To get the port report, and we're going to explore. A castaway. A woman in an iridescent green gown waves vaguely from a rock near the shore. Sorrowful sighs waft across the water towards you. An idiot castaway? A mermaid? Of course not. Mermaids are a preposterous myth. Gonna do the dumb thing and approach because I'm curious. Ooh, the serpent's lure. A fanged mouth rears from the water, big enough to bite a boat in half or swallow a pig. The woman contorts and slides into the water. She's the tip of the monster's tail. This will be untidy. Well, none of this is super likely to work, but fighting it is a 26% chance of working versus no chance, though it versus 24%, but it may also lose crew. Holy hell, we got it. We got a 26% roll. With cutlass and with pistol, your sailors stride into battle. The serpent obviously expected nothing of the kind. It essays a number of savage strikes against you, and then a lucky shot takes it in the eye. You harvest its bones and scrape its hatching young from along the rocks by the shore. We now have 1 harlot fry and 3 Stygian ivory, and if we run into that weird green dress thing again, we are not doing that until our iron is much higher. That was with iron 44 from... Thankfully, like, several of our officers, or 2 of our officers at least, increasing it. And a lot of luck. A lot of luck.